Alright, so this is my 4x8 plasma table that I designed and built myself. Kind of came up with the idea on it. So kind of go over some of the good things I like about it, some of the bad things, something I might change on it, and go from there. So this is my second table. I had an older Torchmate table prior to this. So I had some of the stuff I didn't like on that, and tried to improve on that. And I got a few more things I'd like to change on this one that I may change. So to kind of start from the back, the one thing I do like is I like having the long running x-axis like that, so that as I got it parked all the way back now, it makes it a lot easier for loading sheets, and I don't have it hanging on one end or the other. It makes a good spot to store so that I can load materials a lot easier. The other thing that I did on this table is create the rack underneath for storing some material underneath it. I know I can't put a whole bunch underneath there since it's spanning that 8+ feet, but that bottom bar is also put high enough up so that I can take my engine hoist, slide underneath there, and load pieces that way, since I don't have a forklift to help me load pieces. So another thing I did from my old table is I made this a lot lower. I think my height is like 34 inches off the ground, so it makes it a lot easier for me to load pieces by hand. I can just tip them up, and it's a lot easier to just flip them up and on from underneath, or from my cart that I got over on the side that I store material on too. So that's kind of some of the overview stuff that I like. I'm running the Myplasma software, and it's basic, but it's good. I think my old Torchmate stuff, even though it was I ran the old Torchmate stuff from like 15 years ago, there were a few things it could do, but stuff that this one can do better. So like I got all the homing switches, so like I can bring it all the way home. Super easy. So one of the areas a few of the things that I don't like on it is this like eBay torch mount has a lot of slop in it, so that needs to be changed. I don't like it. I haven't figured out how to fix that yet or what to do yet, so that's still kind of a to be determined thing. The other thing is I use this 3x6 aluminum extrusion. While it's nice and stiff, it's heavy. I mean, it's like 7 pounds a foot. So I think I'm gonna change that out for a piece of 2x4. I don't think I need it quite so big, and that's like 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds. So I mean, I can save 50 pounds on this table because it's a little over 10 feet long on that long piece. So the other thing was, like down here, I wasn't sure how to do the limit stops, so I just 3D printed a piece and stuck it on there. And so once I take it apart and kind of redo the Z-axis system, and then redo the extrusion and rebuild these boxes, I'll figure out a way to mount that underneath so it's not hanging out there. I do like I have e-stop switches on both ends, so if I run into a problem I can just smack that to stop the table versus having to hit escape. For motors, like all my X and Y axis are the NEMA 34s with a 5-to-1 planetary box on them. So I seem to have plenty there. I have it set up for rapiding at 700 inches a minute. But again, with so much weight, I can't do quick speeds because I gotta slow it down and speed it up. So when I get on the thinner materials, it's giving me a little bit of trouble for cutting on that. So the other thing I did on here, let's push this to the back, is, so it's a water table. It's 3 inches deep. My old table was 4 inches. If I did it again, I'd probably do that 4 inches. And I think it's got to fill up a lot quicker between cleanings, not having that extra inch in there. And the other thing I did is, if you can see it back here, it's probably easiest, like right here, so right there are flanges on the bottom for my water to go down. So I have 4 of them evenly spread across the back that I can take and drain the water to. I'll walk around the back in a second and show where that all goes into tanks. So I use air pressure to raise it and lower it. I haven't timed it, but I mean, I think it takes like, I don't know, a minute to drain it and maybe a minute and a half to fill it. I'm not really sure. Right here, I got all my slats on this side at 1.5 inches. And then over here, I have them at 3 inches, just because I did a math error and I didn't order enough material. I really like having the 1.5 slats because I seem to cut a lot of smaller pieces, so I have a lot less falling down and in having to dig it out. but also having a water table that can raise and lower fairly quickly, it makes it easier to find the pieces that do fall through. So the other thing I did, the one thing I don't like is with this is right on this edge here when I'm cutting real close, that water would come over this edge, drip down here, and you can see some of the drip marks down here, so get the material underneath there wet. So this is just like a Z-flash from Home Depot. I just kind of cut it 10-foot length. I just cut it and I just drop it on there, and it stops 95% of that splash from rolling over that edge. And then I can just pick it up and push it out of the way when I need to load a material, and if it gets damaged, it's not that expensive. I got one across the back. I gotta get some more to go down the side. I bought some that was narrower and it didn't work, so I needed this thicker edge right here. But it makes it easy, helps keep it clean, because you can see how much like splash I get out of here. But like all my rails, you can see them mounted down here. So this piece is just on there. I just used that 3AM tape and mounted that right there. So and then for my control box over here, I'm just running an old Hypertherm 1000 table with a Duramax torch on it. So I just bought my own box here, and then I created my own. I 3D printed some parts that I needed, and then I wired it all in myself. The main part I don't hear, you can probably hear it, is the fan in this one, and there is pretty loud. That's probably my main thing I dislike about it. It just creates a bunch of noise. So that's one thing I don't like. Let me move this forward so I can show what I got going in the back here. So what I did in here is, from these drain holes that are right here, the 4 going across this back right here, so they're 1.5 inches. They come out here to this pipe I have run across here that changes to 2 inches halfway down. 2-inch pipe that goes down, and then you can see it going out through the wall. Where I live, it doesn't freeze, so I have the water tank sitting actually outside. I'll go out there and show you. I do have a valve down there, open and close, that I could close it so that the water holds it up. I haven't really had a problem. The water pressure, the air pressure will just hold the water up there, and it's fine. Basically, I just fill the table with water in it so that I don't overfill it, so there's extra room in the tanks, and because I could fill too much water in there, then make a mess in here. So to fill them, so this runs to the bottom of the tanks. You'll see it outside, goes down, and then this 3/4 inch pipe comes back in, comes over here to these valves here. So when this one is open, it lets all the air pressure out so that the water just drops, goes in the tanks. And then this one is tied into my air system up here that runs down to off of my air feed, my plasma cutter. So to raise the water, I just have to shut that valve, and then and then I open this one up here. And I mean, I don't open it very far, and as you can see, it's only 1/4 inch, but if I'm not careful, the water comes up. So, I mean, you'll see it doesn't take a whole lot of time for it to completely fill. So, and then, so like once you get there, once it's all the way filled, I just shut this valve, leave this one closed, and it'll balance out here, and the water will, you know, fill up to as much water you have, keeps the evaporation down, keeps the moisture down in here. And then when it's time to drain it, so then I just come over here, this valve opens, it starts dumping the air out, and then kind of it picks it up on the camera. But you can watch it start draining back down and in. So there's that aspect, and you can see on the back side all the cable chains. I still got to figure out, I kind of designed it, I got to figure out a better way to manage all this, and I'm going to do that when I redesign all of this. So let me go outside, I'll show you how I have those tanks set up real quick. Alright, so here's the tanks outside. You can see kind of the stand I threw together for them. That 2 inch that comes through the wall down here, and then it tees into both of these. And then that 3/4 inch air line is up here, so it goes into the top of these tanks. And then I just use the air pressure. You can see the water levels about right here in either one of them. So it's not quite enough to fill that table, so I need to add a little bit more water once I fill it next time all the way. So, you know, it probably fills to about right in here, I would have to guess. Nice things, these are just these tanks. I mean, they're everywhere around us locally from all the ag. So, and then this one, I just need to, one of these days, notch this. I can put a hose on here. Is the adapter I put on there, so that if I need to drain it, I can just open that, put a hose on it, and run that water out. The little copper line right here, that's just running back over here. Down in there, you can see the ground rod I put for the table. So like I said, I put these out here so they don't take up space inside. So that's it. Go over a few other little things inside. I know probably a couple questions are going to be like, one, how much money did it cost to build the table? And I don't really keep a whole lot of track of that specifically, but I'm probably in about the $6,000 to $7,000 range. Now I started collecting the parts in late 2020, early 2021. So that may determine a little bit of the pricing on it. And also for that too, I had my old table. It's like a lot of the pieces, like these and this one, and a lot of the, like the ends, and pretty much everything to make the table work. I mean, there's a few little pieces I've cut on this table, but a lot of that stuff was cut on my old table. So I had to use one to build the new one. So, you know, was it worth it versus going out and buying a new table? For me, I'd say yes, because it's mostly a hobby. I mean, I sell a few little things here and there, but it's definitely not I don't do this as an income type of thing per se. So if I was going to try to actually make it as like a full-time job or full-time position where I'm trying to, you know, create my income off of it, you're probably better off just buying a table that's already built, you know, paying the monthly payments, since you don't have to spend all that time building it, figuring it out, and getting it to work. Like, one of the things I didn't realize when I built it, I was having problems when I started putting the sensors on it, and I had mislabeled some wires. So I had my y-axis wires reversed, so when I put the limit switches in, I was trying to cut the wrong motors at the wrong times and start pushing through. So it took me a little bit of while to figure that out. And actually the owner of Sparks Robotics reached out to me when I was posting online about it, and I had me call his tech support, and I talked through the tech support even though I'd never bought anything from them. So if I was going to buy a table, it probably would have been a Sparks Robotics table. I mean, they kind of have that same design. I like being able to park the gantry back like where I have it right now, so it's out of the way. And then I have the hand torch for my tables too, my plasma cutter as well. So if I want to hand cut stuff, I just throw it up on top of the table and I can cut right from there. But I'm glad I built it. I mean, you learn everything, you know what it is. And, you know, like most things when you build it, you know, there's always stuff you would change. So I may tinker with it. There may be a second video making the gantry smaller, lighter, better Z-axis setup. I do want to try to figure out how to add a scribe to it so that I can mark materials too. And the other thing I want to do is kind of get rid of this little table I just got thrown here because it happened to be laying around. I'm probably going to build somewhere off of this end right here some type of bracket that comes out that I can put a computer stand right here to hold the computer on. So that's about all I can think of. If you got any questions, ask some comments. Thanks.